a simple life, something out those aches and pains from working on the farm.
Hey guys, it's Eric. Man, I'm up here working at the top of the property, and I figured it was time to do an update on this, the M.U.T.T. For those of you who don't know or haven't seen this before, this is one of the most valuable players here on the property. It's an old riding mower that I converted to be a kind of an ATV or a utility vehicle or a hybrid. It cost $60 when I bought it, and that was in 2018. And over the course of the winter of 2018 to 2019, I did some upgrades on it. I did a pulley swap. So if you have a regular riding mower, it'll do about what, 2.5, 3 miles an hour in top speed. So that is a 12-inch pulley. I swapped it out for a 6-inch pulley, and this will now do between 12 and 15 miles an hour. So it's pretty nice. It's definitely a whole lot faster than what it once was. Now the next thing I did was replace these rear tires. These are ag tires or ATV tires, and so I just took, they fit the standard rims, but I saved up and got a set of those. That was kind of the biggest expense on this thing. The front tires are actually off of an old snowplow, a powered snowplow, like a snowblower that you have a walk behind. So I picked those up at a clearance site, and they hardly cost a thing, but it never slides sideways with those things on there. This is the only other new part that I bought for it, and that is an actual gas pedal for it. And it really gives it the feel like you're driving something other than a riding mower, because you don't have that fender controlled throttle, or in this case it was dash controlled throttle. So I replaced that. The paint I had left over from a previous project, it used to be red, and you can see it's kind of faded some. This one has some more modifications that I've made to it over the years. That is a sleeve hitch off for a Craftsman. There was a Sears that was going out of business a couple years back, and I picked up like 3 of those things. I actually added it, and it actually works, and better yet, it does clear the, whatever you put on there, the cultivator will clear that bed. And that's the coolest thing I think I've added, the most useful thing I added to it, is this homemade bed, and it's just scrap wood. I think the base of it was a pallet. The rest of it was just wood that I had laying around, and I had some leftover stain from our deck, so I stained it that brown. And you can see after, it's been 2 years since I've done a video on this thing, but it's seen better days. I was literally carrying railroad ties on this thing a week ago, and so it held up pretty well, all things considered. You can see some of the bottom pieces are a little bit cracked here now, but it holds a lot more weight than it was ever designed for, and that's me abusing it pretty much, but I love it, man. And these things are so easy to build. They're so much fun to build, and when you're done, you build it the way you want it, you end up with just what you need for your farm or your homestead, or even just for fun. It's got that dual exhaust that I've made some videos on. That's a rear muffler, and then it's got some screw-in tubing that runs along the bottom there. It comes up, and this was a front muffler. I picked this muffler up at Tractor Supply, and I just welded another nipple onto it so that it was threaded on both ends instead of just the one, and it runs up into the engine. So that's why it's so quiet compared to a regular riding mower, is it's got that dual exhaust, plus the exhaust vents to the back, so you're not getting that in your face, you're not hearing the noise up front, so that's pretty cool. It does have a CB. If you followed my channel, you'll know that a lot of the videos I do are related to CB radio. So it's got this box I installed up top, again, just scrap wood, and it's got an old Radio Shack sports weather radio that's waterproof or water resistant, and it still works. Sometimes we'll use that, and I'll just leave it on when I'm working, especially this time of year where I'm picking stuff off the trees and off the bushes. And if my wife needs to get in touch with me, she'll just holler for me on that. But yeah, there it is. The front, I haven't done any changes to the front suspension. There is no real suspension on this thing. There's a couple springs on the seats. That's about all you get. Now this bed here, you can see it's fairly easily how to install this. If you have a riding mower and you want to put one on, I just took 2x4s and laid them across the front there onto the deck, and I screwed them in to the metal, the sheet metal, and put really large washers on the bottom side there so that it wouldn't pull through. And that's what's holding it on. So it's not as in depth as I would have thought. I thought for years about how to make a bed for a riding mower, And I think it not only came out well, I actually think it doesn't look bad. Like, I would do this to a regular riding mower that I was going to use for mowing the property just because it adds such a great utility to it. Engine-wise, the engine is almost entirely stock other than the exhaust. It's a little 12.5 horsepower flathead from Briggs. And other than cleaning the carb and adding the different throttle and exhaust to it, it's stock. Gas mileage is about the same as it was before I did any modifications to it. I guess the last mod I did to it was I took those headlights out and cleaned them up real well, and I replaced the lights with LEDs because I do like to ride this thing up and down the road sometimes. It's kind of like a go-kart. This thing fits all the fun stuff that I want. Like, I can't afford a real ATV, and I certainly can't afford a UTV for farm use, but I built this thing for less than $200, including the cost of purchasing it. And what I ended up with was something that I can use here on the farm, something I can use as to haul stuff around the property, something to just drive around on the property. But when I want to, you put that thing in 5th gear and you can scoot, man. And so sometimes I'll just take it for a ride up and down the road a little bit towards dusk there and enjoy the afternoon, enjoy the evening, just have a little fun like when I was young. Anyway, the reason I'm making this 2-year follow-up video, or this kind of reintroduction to this, is that I would love it if folks would make some stuff like this. There is a following for what's called mud mowers, and I'll probably put this as the title, that this is a mud mower, but really it's not classified in my mind as a mud mower. It's more of a multi-use tactical tractor. You can forget the tactical, but it's a multi-use tractor. It's a dump bed, it's got great traction, it could be used for garden work, and it can go off and have fun. You can do a little bit of off-roading in it. So I hope that maybe you'll watch this video and feel inspired to make your own mud mower or tactical tractor or ATV or UTV or whatever. I called this thing, the original version, which is gone now, I called it the poor man's ATV, and really that's what it is. You can't touch a running ATV for the kind of money I have into this, and even if you did, it probably wouldn't be a very good ATV. You'd probably still have to do a lot of these mods. I guess that'll do it. I just wanted to show this thing off one more time. I've been using it, like I said, for the last couple of weeks, building or rebuilding the garage lean-to area there. This thing has really been the MVP, and it deserves some showtime. Till next time, my friends, take care.